All right, shalom, everybody. We're going to read from the Haftarah, the prophet's reading of the Torah portion called BaMidbar. So we're starting the Torah book called BaMidbar, which is the book of Numbers, and its associated prophets reading is out of Hoshea or Hosea chapter 2. If anyone out there didn't know, I'm going to start another level Aleph course in July 7th. It's going to be Mondays on the Eastern Coast. It's at 6:30 p.m. If you're on the Pacific Coast, it's 3:30 p.m. So if anyone's interested, head over to hungryforhebrew.com, click on courses, and have a look. You all who are in class, if you want to draw on the screen or raise your hand, here's how you do it. Now, I don't want to start straight at the beginning of the reading because it's kind of depressing. We're going to scooch down to the encouraging part right around, what was it, verse 13, I think. Who would like to read first?
I'll go if nobody wants.
Cheryl, go ahead, please.
Okay. לכן, הנה אנוכי מפתחה, והולכתיה המדבר, ודיברתי על ליבה.
Very, very good. What does that symbol say? What does that symbol do?
Uh, תפחה? Is that
I'm
what
sorry,
that
right
means?
here.
Yeah. I don't know what it's for.
Let me reword my question. How do you pronounce this word?
You know what? You pronounce that word like this. ודיברתי,
Okay, good. And now what does that tell you?
that it's a vegetal.
What does the word vekatal or the jargon vekatal mean?
It is it's a perfect turned into an imperfect by the vav.
Hmm.
So it's future will speak.
Yeah, so
I will speak.
some people will call it like a reversing or flipping vav. So the word dibalti by itself means I spoke, but all of a sudden, somehow magically, we add a vav to the front, and boom, now it's the opposite tense. It's now in the future. So this sounds like prophetic language. Lachen hine anochi mefatea, excuse me, mifateha, there's a difference. Veholachtiha hamidbar. V'dibarti al libah. All right, now I guess since we skipped over the first part of the reading, I should offer a little bit of context here. It's referring to a woman who represents Israel, unfaithful Israel, and how God will bring judgments upon her. And then after those judgments are finished, then we read in verse 13. לכן, הנה אנוכי מפתחה. Um, Trying to figure out what I want to see. Wait, is that, wait a second. This is from, what's the root of this word right here? Mefateha.
Pei tav yod.
Tetav, and we have a yod right there.
Um,
We don't always get to see the yod.
it could be okay. Um,
If it didn't have the ha on the end, I think it would just be mifate. Mifate, or actually with a segel. But
mhm.
what does it mean? That's what I'm curious about. So if I get over here, I think I can look it up. Mifate, obviously it means here to lure. I just don't recognize it as a very common root is all. Can we look it up maybe? And mifate. To be, there you go. To be tempted, be enticed. Mifate is to seduce, entice. And then pati, I'm just wondering if there's a pata. Pita is tempt. Okay, all right. It's a good word to know, I suppose. Veholachtiha. And can you split this word up for me into its principal parts?
Um, the the whole. Well, the whole is the first, the whole, and
Wait.
lach,
Is
lach,
this line okay, or do you want me to draw it somewhere else?
draw it after the hey,
Like this?
because that's a long vowel. It's an open vowel.
Oh
And
no, excuse me. I'm not asking to
oh,
divide it into
oh,
stanzas,
okay,
but rather principal parts.
okay,
And so what does this part mean? What does that part mean like that?
okay. Go to the end is her, which is the hey,
Yep.
kamats.
Okay.
Um, Holach, lachte, lechet, lalechet, um, halach, halachti means to, I went.
So do you want me to draw a line here?
Uh, the holachti. No, do it after the H or the hey, not the
After
no, the first one.
here?
Holachti.
Okay.
It sounds
Now
like
you do realize what I'm going to ask, right? After we
yeah,
divide it up,
yes.
then you're going to tell me what each part is. Okay.
It's okay. So the and it's just an and. It's a conjunctive vav, and ho represents the u or the o of a hofal. Um, holachti. I caused her to come. I caused her to go, or I
Okay.
brought.
Good. Thank you. What does hofal mean?
It's the passive of he feel,
If something is passive, can it take a direct object?
and probably not. Well, it says I brought. Okay,
Let me word it in English. Let me word it. If I say I love her, that's active, right?
Neohevata.
If I am loved, by
Yeah.
her, then it's passive. Can I
Okay.
say I am loved her?
Okay, so that's what I did now, right?
So
So,
exactly, instead of hofal, what if something else is going on here?
holachti. Oh,
You want to
um,
hit?
yeah, because normally,
Here, watch this. Watch this. I don't know if that helped, but if I had to divide this into principal parts, it would be like this. You're absolutely right about the ha at the end because it refers to her, the character that represents Israel in this story. T, you know what that is.
I did it.
I did it. So we're going to call that, a katal suffix 1cs. I did it. The at the front,
Halachti. Ah.
it
And I
might
will
actually,
bring her. I will bring her.
I
It's a
think it's going to be
Vekatal.
another vekatal.
Another Vekatal.
I think
For
it'll be
Pete's
another
sake.
vekatal. That's okay. Now,
Okay.
the hard part. This looks like holach. The 3ms form is holich. Does that help?
Mm.
What did you say the root was?
Halach.
Halach.
Halach. Okay, so the root in this particular word is vav lamed kaf, which we know better as halach. What? You're just being silly, Jared. There's no way that's true. Okay. How do you say he will walk?
V'yelech.
Where's the hey? The hey is doing a disappearing act. In the word halach, this hey gives us a lot of trouble. The hey of the root in the verb halach, he went, is the first root letter, but it does a disappearing act. Sometimes it's not there. Sometimes it's a vav. Sometimes it's a yod. Sometimes. Come on. All right. In this particular form, the hey is he feel. In this particular form, we would have expected this verb to be haulich, like an AW sound. Haulich. And Hebrew turns how into, you guessed it, holich. So whenever you see ho at the beginning of a verb, don't think hofal. Hofal necessarily has a short vowel, like a kamatz katan under it. Think of If anything, think of hufal, right? You'd look for an oo sound. But no, I digress. This is a he feel with a vav following it. So it is still, we'll nominally call it the root halach, even though that hey does all kinds of crazy things. But the hey in the word here is he feel. So causing to walk? Yes. I walk on the sidewalk. I walk my dog on the sidewalk. See how in English it's the same verb, but in Hebrew it's two different words. Ani holech, or sorry, halachti means I walked. Holachti, my dog, means I made to walk my dog.
Mhm.
So there's a difference between what do you call it? Transitive and intransitive. Anyway, so here God is saying, I will cause her to walk Hamidbar to the wilderness. Yeah, that's where you grow close to God. You go to the wilderness.
Yeah.
V'tibarti al libah, and I will speak upon or to or something like that her heart. Her heart. What is her heart? Probably mind is a better translation, not necessarily emotional heart, but saying the things that speak to her. Unintended, I think.
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
If that was not a he feel, but a call,
Mhm.
what, how would the hey be punctuated?
It would have to take a kamatz because in kal we expect a kamatz under the first root letter. Halachti, like this, means I walked, and but then you couldn't put a suffix on the end. It wouldn't make sense to say halachtiha.
Oh, we could take the suffix off.
Okay,
So how was the hey? So
this
I'm
one. Oh,
confused.
I'm sorry. So this one up here is a he feel hey, and this one is
Right,
first root letter hey. They are not the same hey.
right. That is right.
And like I said, this hey in Yiktol form disappears. In he feel turns into a vav. I'm trying to remember what other form. Halacha, it disappears altogether. Has anyone ever heard that word before? Halacha. It's the wait a second, Jared, don't do that. Halacha. Is it he feel or is it kal? Halacha. I thought it was he feel. Whatever. I don't know, so I'm going to scratch it. Halacha does come from the word halach, how you walk out your faith, your praxis. I just don't remember if it comes from kal or he feel, so nix it. Hit halech. Ooh, there's another root, another verbal form that has this root in it. Hit halech. Here, the hay is just fine. Hit halech.
Isn't that the one how you walk out your faith?
Hitalech is to walk about or walk about with someone. And
Gotcha.
shows um, a reflexive or reciprocal action. Like, for example, Enoch hitalech et Elohim. He walked about with God.
What's the verb when God created woman and brought her to man?
Let's look. I don't know. It's in Genesis
Genesis?
2. Is it Genesis 2 that you're asking about?
I think so, yes.
Let's see. I doubt it would be cause to walk, but let's have a look. Genesis 2, clear screen. Let's see, where? The heavens should be near the end.
There it is, brought her.
That's went right down to it, huh? Brought her. Okay, so this is the verb yavieha. The standard 3ms form will be yavi. It's from the root bo, to come, and yavi is the he feel form, cause to come.
How does it go brought?
Well, that's the thing. If you cause your egg salad to come to the party, that means you brought it.
Mm,
So here God caused to come or approach, so therefore he brought her. Um, yeah, okay. So this is, I like this because it is still causative like the other one. Thank you for asking. Okay. Any other questions on this before we go to the next verse? I think it's 14. Who wants to read? Go ahead, Tim. What?
That Hebrew verb veholachtiha. So this yod, it plays double duty, right? Because you get the one CS out of the yod, and then in combination you get the three FS. Is that correct? Because we get the he feel and I will bring her.
There are two different ways to teach
Is that correct?
I can't say yes or no because there are two different ways to teach the pronominal suffixes. Um, a lot of grammars will teach that there are two groups of pronominal suffixes. There's the singular ones and there's the plural ones. Is that what you're referring to? And the plural one has a yod in it?
Yeah, so I was seeing the one CS her or I, and then her when you combine the hey at the end.
Right.
If I was
If
you was playing double duty, if that's correct.
Good. So what I think you might be doing here, let me give an example. If there are multiple horses, I can put it in construct form as susei, and then if they belong to her, it becomes suseha. So there's a yod and a ha like this, right? And if I walk, it would be halach he, and there's a yod right here. So what you're saying is that this yod is performing double duty, both as I did something in the suffix t and part of the suffix that says they belong to her. Is that correct?
If I'm reading it, that's the way I'm perceiving it
Okay.
right now.
All right.
That's correct.
Good. Excellent. So that means what I said earlier is does apply. It is only in nouns where the yod. Let me try to say this correctly. No, I'll go back to my original argument. There are two different ways of teaching the pronominal suffixes. One of them is to say, hey, there are two categories. There's the singular list and there's the plural list, and the plural list usually has an extra yod. And it looks totally different. Like the difference between ah in the singular versus eha in the plural. See, they're completely different. There's a singular list and there's a plural list. If I want to say her horse, it would be susa, like this. And if I want to say her horses, it's suseha. What's happening here is that both ha and came from the same original suffix ha. It's just in this one, the kamatz underneath was lost and left off. So it becomes susaha instead of susaha. I would argue that originally both your singular and plural suffixes were more or less the same, and just the plural ones had an extra yod inserted. That's the reason for having a yod here. But that doesn't happen in verbs because verbs aren't, they don't have like a plural yod at the end. They have some sort of maybe a verbal form that ends in a yod, sure, but it's not necessarily a plural yod like in the nouns. So what's happening here is that the yod serves only one purpose, that I am the one who did it, and then the suffix that is left is the more original pronominal suffix before it changed into plain old like this. Now, why did it remain this way? Easy, because there's no ah vowel preceding it.
Sure. I was disregarding the tab. That's what my problem was.
Okay. All right. So hopefully that helped somebody to maybe get a better understanding of how the pronominal suffixes developed. Who would like to read the next verse?
I'll read it.
All right, go ahead, Tuesday.
ונתתי לך את כרמך עמם, no, משם, ואת עמק אחור לפתח tikva. The the Anita.
Okay, very good. It's stressed right here, so that means it's a silent shva. The anta.
The,
What? Oh my gosh, you're so smart. Look, because there's no dagesh in the following letter, I guess you're correct. The anta. Okay,
the,
I concede. Go ahead. The anta.
the Anita Shama Kime Neureha Uchiyom Alta Me'eretz Mitzrayim.
Excellent. I only saw you miss this vowel right here.
Did I miss that?
I think so.
Alota.
Alotah.
Alota.
Excellent. ונתתי לך את כרמך משם ואת עמק עקור לפתח תקווה. Has anybody ever heard of Petach Tikva? There's a
Yeah.
place in Israel called Petach Tikva. I wonder if this is where it comes from. Pretty cool. And
There's a hospital in Petach Tikva,
mhm,
and it's as Door of Hope would be a perfect name for a
opening of
hospital.
hope or doorway of hope, something like that. Ve'anata misham, excuse me, ve'anata shama kime ne'ureha. That's weird. That doesn't look right, does it? It should be uchiyom. Why is there a hirik there?
Because it's a Vav?
No, there's no way.
No.
There's no way that's right. It can't be. It can't be.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna look it up and see what's going on here. Yeshayahu, Yirmiyahu, Zechariah. Where's Hoshea? It should be at the beginning. There it is. There's
Oh.
no way that it can be both oo and have a chirik under it, can it?
Because you can't double the first letter of a word.
There is occasionally a possibility of doubling the first letter of a word, but I don't really want to talk about that if we don't have to get into it. In general, you're absolutely correct. We're in verse, what, 15-ish? 14? Where are we? 13. This is Hoshea, chapter 2.
Yeah, I have oh, never mind. Still listen to me.
Does anyone else have a copy?
I do. Where?
14, Shemot,
Oh.
Yad, Behishav. What? Why?
Oh,
None of this.
I do not have a Hirik under there. I do not have that.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. All right. Venatati and
That's a
Anata.
mistake.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Yechiel.
there's a hirik there.
Yeah.
In the BHS.
Can't you have a dagesh in the first letter of a word to make sure that it's pronounced? But that's not a Bagad Kafat letter.
All right. Let me. All right. First off, I want to show you guys what I see. This is a little important, and in case, look, what we're currently looking at on the screen is actually a digital version of the Tanakh. It's pretty good. There should be no errors in it, but you know how errors can creep in to the text when it's digital. So I like to check my BHS, my Biblia Hebraica Stuttgartensia physical copy whenever I run into something like this, just to double check and see what's going on. See whether there's just an error in the digital text. So I'm now going to share screen with that, which here we go. This is my sorry. BHS, Biblia Hebraica Stuttgartensia, which is Latin, I guess, for Hebrew Bible that's from Stuttgart. And the Hebrew, of course, Torah, Nevi'im, Uchtuvim, the Torah, the prophets, and the writings. Anyway, it's the Hebrew Bible. So here we are in Hoshea, right there. chapter 2. Now look where we're reading from. Let me see if I need that. Gonna perfect. All right. Where's my pen?
Yeah.
Here's where we started.
Yeah.
Venatati. Look, right there. That right there. Okay, so a dot in the middle of a word. I mean, in the middle of a letter. What can it be? You have three options.
Dagesh.
Dagesh. Well, what kind of dagesh?
Weak.
Okay, so there's weak dagesh,
Strong.
strong
Strong.
dagesh, and there's another option.
Mapik.
Doubling.
Mapik. What is
Mapik.
mapik? Here's a mapik. See, there's a dot in the middle of a letter, right? I'm just listing out the three possibilities of what a dot in the middle of a letter means, right? Okay. What letters can a mapik show up in the Bible?
I thought it was just a hey.
That's what
Any
mapik
not
means.
my peak.
It can show up in three, actually, excuse me, four different letters. It can
What
show,
am I peak?
yeah, mapik. It shows up in hay. It shows
Mem.
occasionally in aleph. It shows up, I believe. Okay, now this is a little bit of speculation. There's a dot
Reem.
in the letter resh occasionally. So that might actually, I don't know if that's a mapik or a doubling dagesh. We learned that resh isn't supposed to take a doubling dagesh. So why is it there? Blah. Who knows? But vav is another possibility. I'm wondering if there is um, I'm wondering if this is a mapik that is, okay, now back to definitions. What does a mapik do? Why do letters that have a mapik take a mapik?
Makes it a hard consonant.
Yeah.
Hard consonant sound.
Can I word your answer a little bit differently and say it is showing us that this is a consonant and not a vowel?
Yes.
Okay,
Uh,
in which case that means it is putting a dot in the vav to let us know that it's a consonantal vav instead of a vowel vav. Well, what does that mean? Does that mean we're going to pronounce it as Vihyom? Well, no, because in Hoshea's day, it was probably still pronounced as a W, Vihyom. At any rate, I'm floored by the fact that there is a mapik in this vav right here, and I just wanted to share that with you all. Any questions?
Mine does not have it. My Nevi'im does not have that.
Right. Are you looking at Art Scroll, perhaps?
Yes, I am. No, Stein's Salts.
Well, what I mean to say is it rabbinic? There's a good possibility.
Yes, it is rabbinic. Yes.
There's a good possibility that rabbinic texts are going to clean up the Masoretic mistakes, whereas
And
the academic versions are going to leave it in all of its glory. So anyway, that's get back to here, portion of the screen. So I just wanted to double check that that a dot was there, but anyway, fun stuff, fun stuff. And so I would still pronounce it as, gosh, I really want to pronounce it as Uchyom because that would be the modern way to do it, but there's clearly a chirik there. Christine, is yours just without a chirik, so it would be Uchyom?
correct.
Okay. All right. And I wonder if I should have looked for a note under here to see if there were some variations. There's a note right there. And the note says 17a. It said it's an error. It must be either uch or v. Can't be both. So in various manuscripts, it's a little different, but there are some manuscripts that have it like this. It's in the Leningrad Codex, I guess, where it has both the dot and the chirik. Okay, now back to the topic at hand. Uchyom alotah me'eretz Mitzrayim. This word right here, ve'anata, has penultimate stress. It's now ve'anata. Can anybody venture a guess as to why the stress moved? Hint, look in the next word.
Shama.
Shamma.
Shama.
Shamma. Hebrew does not like to have adjacent stressed syllables. So rather than having anata shama, it scooches it over so that you don't have adjacent stressed syllables. The anata shama, or something like that. Well, wait a second, Mr. Jared. If Hebrew doesn't like adjacent stressed syllables, then why is this stressed syllable next to that stressed syllable? And the answer would be
The Vav.
Yeah, Yatnak. Yatnak.
well, it's the etnachta, exactly. This gives you a pause. It's not the vav itself because this right here is seen as a single stressed syllable. Va nata. It's seen as a cluster, a consonant cluster. All right. What venatati? What is the root of venatati?
Natan?
Natan, to give. So I gave and I gave. It's weird to me that venatati doesn't have final stress. Somebody, who was it? Cheryl said that when we have a vekatal vav, it changes the stress. It should be over here. Why didn't it do it?
The stress in the two.
Same reason as last time. We can't have two adjacent stressed syllables. So it becomes venatati la instead of venatati la. That's it. So
So
how
stresses can't be neighbors?
not yeah, they can't be adjacent neighbors. The only exception is if you have a pause in between, like Tim said earlier. Like this etnach puts a pause, this misham has a pause. And kayom alotach. Where else? Oh, this is going to be a pause because of the cantillation marks.
There's your association, Christine. Two
Yeah.
stressed neighbors cannot
Too
live next
stressed.
door to each other.
No, they can't live. They'll
Oh, that's
stress
good.
each other out even more.
Oh,
That's
geez.
good.
I've got the picture.
That's it. You can't unsee it now.
No.
And I will.
Another thing,
Yeah.
another thing I've noticed is this is a hard break. And when you see a hard break like that, the
Yeah.
next word has to go forward. So same here. This word has to go forward as opposed to referring to something before it.
I think I understand what you're saying, and I want to agree with it. Yes. Yeah. It is more likely that it's pointing forward to the next part of the text than it can to look back. You're right. Because of this disjunction. All right. I will give to her krameha. Is this a plural yod?
Yes.
Of course. So we've got ha, which is hers, herem, which is a vineyard, and a plural yod. I will give her vineyards, misham, from there, wherever there is, probably the land. Ve'et emek achor. Okay, this appears to be a proper noun. Emek is a valley of achor, lefetach tikva. Now it's for an opening or doorway of hope. That's pretty cool. So I don't know that this was a place name back then, but it obviously became one later. And she shall, wait, what is the root of this word?
Anna?
Ana.
Okay.
Mhm. So ayin, noon, missing yod. And the ta at the end, this is actually a feminine tav, and then a redundant feminine suffix, katal suffix. And Hebrew really messed up the three FS katal forms that have a yod at the end. They inserted both the original tav and a kamate so that it fit the pattern of all the other katal verbs, like shamra has a kamate. So therefore, ana, which should have been something like this, but then lost the yod, they're like, well, it needs a kamate on it too. Wow. So now you have this indicator and this indicator of the feminine. Anata. But what's the meaning of ana?
Answer?
To answer. Well, why is that not saying answer?
Answering with a song.
And it's a song. It might be because there are two different roots here. One textbook that I looked at says that there's the root Ainun Yod, and there's another root Ainun Vav, and they both end up looking the same. And other textbooks will tell you that we're looking at two different Ains. There's an Ayin 1 and a Rayin 2. One is closer to where the Aleph is pronounced at the bottom of the throat, and the other one is closer to where a Gimel is pronounced, Rayin. Ayin versus Rayin. Did anybody wonder what's the name of Gaza in Hebrew?
Az,
Azza.
az.
Azza. So this ayin right here is transliterated in the Greek with a G, with a gamma. And hence it comes over into English as Gaza. Why? Because it was the ayin that was closer to the G sound and not the ayin that was deeper in the throat. So anytime you see ayin transliterated, especially in proper names with a G, you can be certain it was this one, ayin 2, rather than this one, ayin 1. So it's possible we have two different ayins here. One means to answer, another one means to sing. Well, whichever one it is. Oh, remember when the people would sing how Saul has killed his thousands, but David his tens of thousands? I believe in one of the places where it says that, it uses this verb. So apparently it has something to do with singing. Okay, how do we
Can we
know?
go back to Gaza real quick?
Yeah, sure.
Isn't the in Arabic that when it has the dot in it, it's pronounced like a g sound, and that's also how you get Gaza? Or
Yeah, but just remember that the Arabic script wasn't invented until after the Septuagint was written.
okay.
So while you are correct, it's the same Arabic letter, but one has a dot and one doesn't, to be able to differentiate between the two letters, much like Hebrew will differentiate between ba and va with a dot. So also Arabic will, of course, it's a little bit more different. It's not just one letter pronounced two different ways. It's rather two separate letters that look very similar. At
So
any,
it never was Hebrew. I mean, it never was Arabic. It's Hebrew.
can I say that they were both Semitic?
Okay.
The original language from which all Semitic languages derive apparently had more letters in it than the Hebrew language has. And Hebrew maintains the difference between those letters written with the same, excuse me, those consonants that were written with the same letters but pronounced differently. Kind of like we will pronounce C as a K sound, or we'll pronounce it as an S sound. How do we know when it's this one and when it's that one? Well, we just recognize it or whatever. So, oh, there's an A or an O or a U, so it must be a cuss, whatever. The point is that a native speaker can look at this letter ayin in a word and know which one it originally was and pronounce it accordingly. Same thing with zayin, same thing with chet, same thing with sheen and sadi. Each of these had more than one pronunciation, but eventually those differences were lost. At any rate, how do we know that she is singing instead of answering? Well, because no one asked her a question, and because she's doing it as in the days of her youth, when the day she was coming up out of Egypt. If you're leaving a land of bondage, are you answering or singing? So the context here, yeah, the context here causes the translator to say, clearly we're talking about rejoicing, singing, singing freedom. What is the kamatz hey at the end of the word shama?
Location.
Locative, direction, towards there. She shall sing their word. Hime ni'ureha. It's a very common modern Hebrew word, but I don't know that it's very common in Hebrew. Ni'ureha. Her days of her youth. Kiyom alotah. Ooh. What kind of a word is alotah?
Infinitive?
You're so smart. And how do you know that? How can we recognize
Got a holum on
That
this.
vowel is a
the holam is a dead giveaway? The holam tells us that it's an infinitive. Now, how do we know it's an infinitive, or is it absolute or construct?
Construct.
Construct,
How do we know it's construct? Two
the
indicators.
suffix.
Yeah,
Hey,
is
you
that a
can't.
directional hey on the end?
No, it's got a mapik. That's a
Got a
possessive
mapik.
hey.
her.
Eh?
So it's her act of alot. And also there's a reduced vowel here. If it were absolute, then it requires a full command. Alot. But here it's reduced, so it's got to be the construct, and there's a suffix, it's got to be construct. So this is her act of
Coming up.
coming up.
Yeah.
The root is Ein Lamed Yod. The 3ms katal form Allah means he ascended or went up. Think of like El Elyon. Remember Elyon? That comes from this root. Most high. God most high. El Elyon.
So
So
when you're making aliyah,
Mhm,
you
same root.
are okay.
Exactly. There's also an Ole Chadash. Someone who has moved to Israel is called an Ole Chadash. Olim Chadashim. They are ones going up to Israel, coming from the nations and going up to Israel spiritually, as it were.
They're participles.
Yes, they are participles. Very good. Ole.
Don't call them that, Cheryl, or they'll tell you you're just talking crazy.
Here the O is on the first root letter. That's what we're looking for in the participles. Ole, one who is coming up. Me Eretz Mitzrayim. What does me?
Preposition mean?
Exactly. It's the preposition mean from, and we can't put a dagesh in the aleph, so it lengthens the preceding vowel. Me Eretz Mitzrayim. All right. Any questions on this before we go to the next verse?
Quick review
Okay.
on the previous word when she came up. Does kamatz always reduce to a katapet, a pata,
Pataf pataf.
a pata? Yeah, thank you.
Um,
Does that kamatz always reduce to that?
It does in gutturals, but but if it's not a guttural, then it can go all the way down to a shva. Think of words like la. The prefix la is the original form, or it's okay. I don't want to say it that way. There's probably originally la and turned into la, but anyway, it can go down to le. Now, if you're asking whether kamatz will always reduce to an A flavored vowel, reduced vowel, the answer is yes. But there are plenty of places where kamatz can go down to a shva, like it did here. And let me see if I can find any others. That one, we expected that to go, well, think of the verb anah, that had a kamatz in it. So it drops down to anata. But anyway, I think your question was, will it always, on a guttural, will it always reduce to this instead of one of the others? Is that the momentum of your question?
Yeah, I'm looking for the pattern. Is what I'm looking for.
Yeah, good. So to answer your question more fully is that vowels come in groups. All your ah vowels are together. All your E and I vowels, and in fact, I have to leave out the schwa here, and probably even the segol a little bit. Sorry. So these are your historically I flavored, I vowels, and then these are historically your oo vowels. So originally we only had three vowels: a, e, u. From the e we get the eh, and from the u we get most of our o's, except for the Canaanite shift, and that's where we get a couple of ahs turning into o's. And occasionally ahs go missing in exchange for segols, so it's a real mess. But in a big picture way, we have three vowel groups. So kamats, you always expect to reduce to a reduced patah. Yes.
Could the reduction, the reduced vowel, oh, they can't take a schwa under the end, but a reduced vowel can happen because of the stress at the end of the word? Would that?
I need to know what you're asking there. Are you saying why is there a reduced vowel here under the ayin?
Well, that's because it can't take a schwa, a guttural can't. take a
Okay.
schwa.
Yeah, let's look at a different word like zhor. Here there's no reduced vowel. There's no pataf vowel, but it's still a reduced vowel. It's a shva.
Mhm.
So this also would be an infinitive construct because infinitives are supposed to have a reduced vowel on the first letter.
So le'alot, would that be also, would it be a full vowel under the ayin?
Oh no, it'd be like
Alot?
this: la'a, lot.
Alot, okay.
So instead of putting a shva or a hirik here, it vowel harmonizes and puts a patah. So instead of l or li, it becomes la'a, la'alot. But your
Got it.
infinitive construct still has a reduced vowel.
Okay.
Excellent. Okay, any other questions on this? Who would like to read this cute little verse?
I'll read it, please.
All right, go ahead, Volodane.
Okay. Um, Vehaya Bayom Hahu Neum Adonai Ti Tikrai Ish She Ve Lo Tikrai Li Ord Ba Ae Li
I want to
Bailey.
take just a moment and congratulate Valdane. I know that you've been working so hard learning Hebrew. Congratulations. That was a perfect reading. That was awesome. Thank you so much for reading. And Vehaya Vayom Hahu Ne'um Adonai Tikra'i Ishi Velo Tikra'i Li Od Ba'ali. This is a really cool verse. Remember, God is the one who is, through the mouth of Hoshea, God is the one saying all of these things. Vehaya, is that vekatal?
Yes.
And it will be Vayom Hahu on the day,
That day.
that one. Exactly. On the day, that one. Ne'um Adonai. Now, this is translated as a verb, and that annoys me. It's actually a noun. The oracle of the Lord. Okay, this is the oracle of the Lord. So we've got a quote here. Tikra'i ishi. What kind of a word is tikra'i?
It's an imperative. It's
It's Yiktol.
Modern Hebrew uses yiktols for imperatives, but did Hoshea? It's a good question. Is God telling her that, is he telling her, call me, Ishi, or is he saying, you shall call me, Ishi?
shall call
So
Yiktol.
it's more likely that it's a yiktol, even though modern Hebrew uses it as an imperative. You shall at that time call me Ishi. What is Ishi?
My husband.
Husband. Yeah.
hmm Ish, man, as opposed to a woman. Ishi, my man or my woman, my husband. Velo, so here we get a contrast. This is what you shall do, and this is what you shall no longer do. Velo tikre'i li od bali.
Master.
Right. So there's a difference between Baal, and yes, this is the root where you get like Baal and Baal worship and stuff like that. But is it because they are calling God after the name of a false god, or is it that they are referring to him as the root means master, owner?
Yeah. I think that she's in the valley of Achor to learn an intimacy with him, with the Lord in a different way. She's always seen him as a cruel master, and she's going to learn him as a kind husband
hmm
instead.
Yeah, that's the way I see it. Velo tikre'i li od bali. Isn't it kind of cool to see Ain can take a shva?
Seems to be reflecting on verse 2 that we looked at the very, very beginning.
Oh, before
Is,
yeah.
is that a proper noun?
Which one? Bali?
Yes.
See,
Or is it my
that's what,
master?
well, yeah. So I think both Cheryl and I would say that it's probably referring to the master who owns me, that I belong to, as opposed to Baal, my Baal. But in the Hebrew, you can't tell the difference. It's only a matter of context. So you could, I guess, make an argument either direction. But yeah, I'm with Cheryl. I think it's more like, hey, he's no longer seen as this terrible judgment bringing master. He's a husband, a personal um, guardian, something like that. But yeah, the word Baal definitely can be a um, a proper noun if it's referring to the false god of, well, pretty much all of the surrounding nations. Who would like to read the next verse?
I can.
Go ahead, Annie.
והסיעותי את שמות הבעלים מפיך ולא יזרעו או יזכרו עוד ב- בשמם.
Bishmam, good. Yizacheru od bishmam. Thank you. Vahasiroti, got final stress there, so it's probably vekatal. Vahasiroti et shmot habe'alim. Okay, so here it looks like the be'alim might be more of a proper noun. Mipiha, from her mouth. Velo yizacheru od bishmam. Oh, that's very cool. Vahasiroti. What's going on with this verse? Excuse me, this verb. Vahasiroti. Let's analyze it.
So Vekatan.
Okay, vekatal vav.
Lahasir
P
is
suffix.
T suffix. You said hasir.
Hife.
He see. Okay, good. So the hey is he feel, and the chirik is he feel. He feel. That's supposed to be an H. Use your imagination. What's the root?
I was going to say Sur. I
Very
can.
good. Very good. What is the root? Sur, to turn aside. Instead of going straight, turn to the right or the left. Sur. So vahasiroti means and I will cause to turn aside. Et shmot habe'alim, or I will remove the names of the Baals, the Baalim, mi piha, from her mouth. She's not going to talk about those false gods anymore. She's not even going to mention them. Velo yizacheru od bishmam. What is yizacheru? What's going on here?
They will remember.
See this trifecta right here? Fi-ah, fi-ah.
Oh,
Nephal.
Okay. So Nephal makes it passive. And so rather than they remember, it becomes they will be remembered. Well, actually, they will not because of the low. They will
Be
not be
remembered.
remembered. And we know it's they because of yod at the front, u at the end. It must be plural, masculine plural. They will not be remembered. Who? I guess the Baalim will not be remembered. Od anymore. Bishmam. With or by
By their names.
their name. Exactly. So I don't know what the difference is between they won't be remembered versus they won't be remembered by their names, but they are no longer in the vocabulary of God's people. Yay, hallelujah.
What part of Bishmam tells us names plural?
Doesn't. It's singular.
Ah,
By
okay.
their name.
Name. Okay.
Mhm. So here the translator just wanted to make it sound a little better. How would you say by their names and make it plural?
Shimehem.
Bishmei.
Yes. Yes. So it'd be shmehem, which means we still get a chirik right here. Bishmehem. That would be plural with the pluralizing yod. Nice.
So what's the difference between the suffix and him?
Originally there was none. Hem is the original suffix.
Mm-hmm.
Losing the hey is what
Ah.
turned into it, or in fact, let me reword that. Ahem is what turned into the losing of the H, or the hey, actually. Just the same way as aha in the third feminine singular is what turned into ah with the missing kamatz.
Mm.
Something changed, something simplified. Ooh, how about ahu? What did it turn into?
Uh,
oh,
Oh, exactly. In most cases, it just turned into O. So we see these forms over here as being the so-called singular forms, and the ones over here, especially with having an inserted yod, as being the so-called plural forms. There's only one big problem.
Mm.
The ones that show up over here, like who and hem and ha, will show
Mm-hmm.
up on singular nouns like ni piha, and it'll show up on verbs like we saw earlier with veholachtiha, right? It'll have this over here, which isn't plural. The verb itself is its own form. There's nothing pluralized about it. So that's why I try to stay away from categorizing them as, oh, these so go on singulars and these go on plurals. Sure, in general, that's true, but there are plenty of exceptions. It's better to say these are the original forms that simplified down into these other forms. Ooh, this one's a little long. Who wants to read a long verse?
Can I try?
You may try.
Okay, let's see. Ve'arti
Mhm.
lechem
There's
ba.
another example. Sorry for interrupting, but yeah, there's another example. The hem is the plural, even though la isn't a noun and doesn't have. Okay, I interrupted. Forgive me. Please go ahead.
bar i t bar no ba bayom hahu
Mhm.
et no
Im.
im hayi
Hayat. Hayat.
hayati hayat ha ha shen da
Hasadeh.
hasadei
Good.
va im ye usef
Of.
of
Of. That's right.
of okay ha asa im
Hashamayim.
hashamayim hashamayim gotta remember ve ra im ta
Vevemes. Creepy crawly things. Vevemes.
Emene ha ha re ma
Oh, that's a Dalit. Ha'adama.
oh hadema be beka beka
Vikeshet.
bekeshet vecharev
That's the pausal form. V'cherev.
erev be no u
Right. U.
ume la het ma
Umilchama.
ma eshem ve ure
Eshbor.
esh eshbor
Mhm.
eshbor
Mm.
Me.
mi haaretz veha she have om
Mhm. V'hishkavtim.
im
Veish kavim batim
im le ba dot
La.
lavetach
Lavetach.
lavetach
Mhm. Lavetach. Vetach is safety or security. In Hebrew, if somebody asks you a question, you want to say definitely. You say betach or batuach, definitely. V'charati lahem brit bayom hahu im hayat hasadeh ve'im of hashamayim ve'remes ha'adama ve'keshet ve'cherev u'milchama eshbor min haaretz. Vehishkavtim lavetach. This needs to be like laminated or framed and hung on the wall. This is a fantastic verse. Karat is to cut, but in the sense of either cutting something physically or cutting a covenant. Here we see the word brit. It's cutting a covenant. Vekatalvav, and I will cut. Wait, where's the third root letter tav?
It's in the Dagesh, maybe?
Yeah, instead of putting two tavs
it
next to each other,
assimilated
it's assimilated together. So vicharati instead of vicharati, exactly. So it's karat, like karate, cutting something in half, right? And I will cut a covenant lahem for them, to them, for their benefit, something like that. Bayom hahu, on the day, that one. All right, a covenant with whom? Im chayat hasadeh, with the animals or beasts or living things of the field. V'im of hashamayim, and with the flying thing of the sky, usually translated as birds, but as you all know, Leviticus includes the word bats in birds. Right? It calls them off because they fly. It categorizes animals by where they live and what they do. And the remes ha'adama, remes, creepy crawlies of the ground. And then there's our etnachta, that's the halfway point. The keshet v'cherev u'milchama esh bo. Keshet is the bow, cherev is the sword, milchama is the battle. He says, I will break them, min ha'adama, from, now it says here the earth. And I certainly hope that's the correct translation. But when you think about ha'aretz, sometimes it's translated as simply the land. Will these things be removed from the land of Israel, or will they be removed from the entire land of the world? Well,
Always the question.
always the question, right? Well, we've got a certain messianic expectation that says the whole world will know God and will not need his brother to instruct him to know God. Vehishkavtim, this is Hefil Hay. So T, I will, Hefil cause, Vekatal Vav, will, I will cause Shachav to lie down, them. I'll cause them to lie down, Lavetach. This is the picture, this is not a word
Millennial
picture,
piece.
not a word, yeah, it's not a word picture, but it's basically painting, it's illustrating the lamb lying down in peace while the shepherd is watching because there's nothing to scare him off. This is pastor, not pastor, shepherd language, pastoral language.
It appears to me to be a reflection of the flood story in the ark. Noah rising above the swords and the war with all the animals lying in the ark.
Yeah, right. It's always I don't know, it's always touched me a little bit to see how God cares in certain places in the Bible. You can see how God cares about the animals. How much more does he care about humans, obviously, but even his compassion for the animals. Think about the end of the story of Jonah, where it talks about all these people who don't know the difference between their right hand and their left, and tons of cattle. You're like, what? Why are those put on the same level, or why are they both brought together? Well, here again, I'm going to make a covenant with the entire world not to flood it, like you said in the story of Noah and the flood. And here it's doing something similar, making a covenant with all of the living creatures. That's really cool. All right, we've got some a little bit more time. Who wants to read? So a little bit shorter verse.
Can I
Read.
read again?
Yeah, of course. Go ahead, Cheryl.
וארשתיך לי לעולם, וארשתיך לי בצדק, ובמשפט, ובחסד, וברחמים.
Again, frame it. וארשתיך לי לעולם, וארשתיך לי בצדק ובמשפט ובחסד וברחמים. These are all beautiful words. What is tzedek?
Righteousness.
Mm-hmm. Is it a noun?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. When you see like this, it's a noun. Uva mishpat, what's the root? Wait a second. The first half of this chapter was about God judging his people in unpleasant ways because of the idolatry that she had done. And now we're seeing this among all these positive words: righteousness, covenant, loyalty, and judgment. Judgment. Well, what does it mean by judgment?
Mercy.
See, rather than thinking about like the gavel falling and judgment is upon you, think of it in the opposite direction. What if somebody has wronged you and you want justice? Then all of a sudden the word mishpat is not an ugly word. It's fair, it's beautiful, it's righteous. So I guess the difference is the people sinful or is the people righteous? Then all of a sudden mishpat means something completely different. You just don't want to be on the wrong side of God's mishpat. Uva chesed. Now chesed is very hard to translate, but I like what they did here. Covenant loyalty or loyal kindness. Uva rachamim. What is a rechem?
Womb.
So every time I see rachamim, I'm thinking of the compassion and the compassion of a mother. The way I see it. Rachamim. What is the root of this word?
Aras.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. We've got vekatal vav, he, katal suffix, 2fs. So that leaves 3 root letters. All right. What binyan is it?
Hefil?
There's no hey. It's not hefil.
Is it
Yeah.
Paul?
Is it PL?
Hey, okay, so
Nephal.
someone said nifal. If there were a kamatz here, then I would venture to guess that it's a nifal. But here there's a patach. What's happening is that we can't put a dagesh in the resh,
It's a PL.
so it lengthens the preceding vowel. It is a PL. I'm trying to remember how to transliterate it into English, but there are 2 parts of a Jewish wedding. There's the kiddushim and there's the erusim. The kiddushim is like the betrothal, and then the erusim is the marriage after he has prepared a place and they go and consummate the marriage. So if we want to look at it in messianic terms, then the kiddushim is the promise that the groom makes to the bride: I will provide for you, I will go and prepare a place for you. And then the erusim is the fulfillment of that promise. So this right here in messianic terms is talking about advent of Messiah.
And judgment works when you see it in a messianic way, because judgment has been passed on our sin, and we have peace, and we have righteousness, imputed righteousness. So judgment works. It's not contradictory to my faith anyway.
Okay, thank you. And I'll read this one. Ve'erastich li be'emunah ve'yadat et Adonai. I see what it's doing with the by saying betrothed, but it's actually the second part of the wedding. So whatever. I will fulfill the betrothal, if you put it that way. Li, isn't that weird? It says to you, but it's Li. I will betroth you to me in faithfulness, in unwaveringness, same root as amen or emet, truth. V'yadat, and you shall know, you feminine singular, shall know the Lord. Finally, after all of these Baals and Ashtaroth, right? All right, does anyone want to read the next verse?
I'll read it.
Please go ahead.
Vehaya Bayom Hahu A Ane Neum Adonai Ane at Ashal Mayim Veham Ya'anu at Ha'araz.
Excellent.
Ha'araz.
Haaretz. We talked about how the root ana can mean either answer or sing. And here it shows up again. Ene, ene, ya'anu. And they have here in the translation. But wait a second. It's either answer or sing. Which one should we do? Which one should we choose from? Why did they choose here? Listening. V'haya bayom hahu e'ene ne'um Adonai e'ene et hashamayim v'hem ya'anu et haaretz. What are we supposed to be getting from this? What does it mean that God will ana the heavens and they will ana the earth?
The prayers from that
Hmm.
God is answering the prayers from those in heaven and those on earth.
Okay. You know what it reminds me of? Ha'azinu. In, what is it, Book of Deuteronomy, the Torah portion, Ha'azinu, is Moses saying, "Hear, O heavens, and listen, O earth," calling them as witnesses of the covenant between God and his people.
Mhm.
So when I think of answering the heavens and answering the earth, it means that the heavens and earth as witnesses have um, stated their testimony, their witness that is against the people. And God is saying, I will address it. It will be in that day, I will answer. This is coming from the Lord. I will answer the heavens and they will answer to the earth. I don't know.
Sounds
Maybe that is, maybe it isn't, but that's what it reminds me of. Where Moses is using the heavens and the earth as a testimony against the people, and God's like, I got this. You got testimony against you, you have witnesses against you, I've got this. Last verse. Who wants to read the last verse?
I can.
Please, Annie.
והארץ תענה את הדגן
Hadagan.
והתירוש ואת היצהר, והם יענו את ישראל.
Okay. So now I wonder if I'm going to have to eat my words from earlier. V'ha'aretz ta'aneh et hadagan ve'et hatirosh ve'et hayitzhar ve'hem ya'anu et Yisrael. All right. This is not Israel. I know it sounds kind of like Israel in English. It is not Israel. What is it?
it's God is showing
Israel.
greed. God sows. God will sow. God will sow. That from the word seed.
There you have it. Yizra means he will feed or sow. That is, God will. So this is not Yisrael, he will contend with God. This is God, he will sow. And that makes sense because God is speaking to the heavens, God's speaking to the earth, he's speaking to the grain, the wine, the oil, and they shall ana et Yisrael. Okay, I'm not sure what to make of this. but it's all painting a picture, a messianic picture of a bountiful time and place. The heavens are the things that or the heavens in plural in Hebrew. The heaven is what provides or from which God provides the rain, which causes all of these things to grow. So it could be an agricultural reference, and the ground, of course, providing the sustenance from beneath in order to create all these others, the dagan, the see, Tirosh I thought was new wine or grape juice. I wouldn't really call it wine. And then Hayitzhal. And him
Yitzhak,
Ya'anu.
is that oil? Is that a different word for shemen? Because they used the word shemen earlier in the passage.
Great question. Let me go over and just have a look. Shemen is the usual word. I've seen Yitzhal before, but I haven't done any sort research on it. Let's do that. In Hoshea 2, at the end of the, oh, you know what? I could just go, is this it? Ami, oh, there is another verse there. Anyway, let me stay focused for a bit. Him, here it is. Yisrael, what? Anointing oil?
Okay.
There's no way that's related to the word Zohar, is it? Illumination?
It's not a Zion
Let
Tzadi.
me look it up. No, I realize that. I just wonder if I wonder what the like Klein's dictionary would say. Like Sahar. Oops. Go back. No, that one. Sahar. Can't type with something in my hand. Try again. Sahar.
Yitzhak.
I wonder. Rocky white. Har. And clearly filtering grain very. Sohar. Brilliance shining. Sahar. Let's see. Removes the hair. Listening. Sohar. Happiness. Okay. That's actual phenomenon. Okay, so I'm not sure that it's related to Zohar. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't see anything here. Oh, look. Okay,
Pressed olives.
so in Arabic has Zahara, Ugaritic has Thal, and Batsal. I don't know that if that's related. But anyway, the point is it has an emphatic Zayin sound, which in Hebrew becomes a tzadi. So it could actually be related.
He pressed olives. You get oil out of olives when they're pressed.
Right. So the word Yitzhal or some form of it, oh yeah, Yitzhal shows up 23 times in the Bible, so we can look through those and try and figure out what exactly it means. But yeah, it has something to do with the pressing, I guess. And
And light comes from the oil lamps.
fresh.
So these are the anointed. These are the anointed.
Yeah, I think you're right that it
Producing
has to
light.
do with light shining, something like that. Okay, that's fun. I like that. Well, thank you all so much. We didn't get through the whole chapter, but we got to the end of the second half of the chapter, and that was a lot of a lot of encouragement. Let's see. Next time we'll read from what's after BaMidbar Naso. I think it's Naso, the next Torah portion. But anyway, I hope you all find this exercise helpful reading through the Haftarah before the Shabbat where we're supposed to read it. Like, for example, in your congregation, if you read the Torah and Haftarah, it means you get to have a little bit more insight when you guys get together with your congregation and read through it. And if not,
And
well,
the,
It's
is the next time
Haftarah.
in 2 weeks?
Say again, Tuesday?
Is the next time in 2 weeks?
Are you asking because of Independence Day?
Shavuot.
Memorial Day.
Shavuot.
Shavuot is when? Don't
The
do that
next,
to me.
sometime next week.
The next
This
weekend.
week, I'm not sure.
It
We're
is.
coming up to the last 9 days
Okay, so
count.
Erev, you're right. Erev Shavuot is going to be next Sunday night. So basically, as the sun goes down, that's going to start Shavuot. Nice. Um, no, I don't think so. I think, excuse me, what I mean to say is I think I'm still going to come. And since Shavuot is on Monday and Shavuot 2 is on Tuesday, I still want to meet. You guys want to meet?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
it's not the holiday yet next
Yeah.
Sunday, but like I'm not going to go long next Sunday either.
Hmm.
Um,
Short, an hour, Jared, instead.
no,
An
just
hour.
an hour and a half
Okay.
instead of more than that. Yeah.
So it's
Uh,
Judges 13,
thank
2
you.
to 25.
Thank you. I'll have to put
For
that in
the
the chat, or if somebody else can put it in for me, that would be excellent. And that's the Haftarah of
Naso.
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 By the way, if anyone says Haftorah, make sure
Haftarah.
make sure you correct them. It's Haftarah. Haftarah.
Tara.
That's right. The Torah reading and then the Haftarah reading. And yeah, there it is. I'll have to include that in the chat. Okay. Any closing thoughts or questions?
Yeah, I have to, now that you've gotten me looking at this, I have to finish with this phrase. Uh, and he shall answer with grain. So grain, the bikurim, first fruits, is actually doesn't begin until Shavuot. So, and that is the wheat harvest. So, and he shall answer with grain. So he will answer at Shavuot and with my new wine, and with my new wine, my anointed ones shall answer in Jezreel. Jezreel is the valley of judgment. They will answer them. My anointed
Uh,
ones will answer them. This
nice,
is cool. This
nice.
is cool.
A lot of connections. All right, you guys are awesome. Keep up the good work. I look forward to seeing you next week just before Shavuot starts. Until then, lehitrot v'shalom.
Thank you.
Lehitrot
Cool.
leshalom.
Lehitrot. Bye.